So it was a good show last night?
I think so.
I think so.
As far as I can tell. Yeah.
When you're touring before an album even comes out,
Yeah.
I mean, you run into that problem where, okay, we want people to be exposed to the record, but they don't know any of the songs unless they've torrented it from somewhere.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that with introducing new material with the audience who doesn't know the music yet?
I think one of the ways you balance it is by playing smaller venues than you would normally play, which is sort of what we've been doing. Like, this is just I guess they call it an underplay tour in the biz, and it's, it sort of means that we can, I guess we can kind of, I think we only played 4 or 5 new songs last night out of like 25 songs. So, yeah.
I've been thinking of it as spring training. We're giving the rookies a chance to play.
Right.
So you never know what's going to work out when you really get out on the road until you actually try it. So there's no better time to try it than when it's a limited run of shows in smaller clubs with people that really want to see the band.
How limited is this run?
Well, I mean, there's only, I think, 6 shows or 7 shows. No, 10 before.
It's like 10 shows.
10 shows before the record comes out, probably before everyone hears the album.
And because it's an underplay, you have to work harder to get tickets as a fan. So you're going to get your hardcore people there, I would imagine.
I would think, and not only that, but people that are going to be receptive to hearing new material. People that are going to want to hear new material because they've followed you for maybe more of your career. Ben made a funny point earlier today about how it's really endearing to see people who are hearing a song for the first time by the time the second chorus hits, beginning to mouth the chorus lyrics, like maybe getting half of them right. But I mean, like, clearly that's someone that really wants to be there and wants this new material.
Oh, wow. I remember seeing Green Day the day after American Idiot came out, and they were already singing all the words to all the songs, and it was just like, wow. I mean, that's got to be pretty gratifying and cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, that band's got choruses for days.
Is this record less guitar-oriented than the last couple?
Yeah, I think it is less guitar-oriented than the last few records. It's it was sort of made with the idea that if the 4 of us sat down behind the instruments that we always sit down behind in rooms that we always play and record in, that we were going to make a really similar feeling and sounding record. So in the interest of kind of breaking that up, the idea was to just try and build foundations and harmonic beds for each of the songs out of some stuff that we have, in a lot of cases, stuff we've never really played around with.
Is this a new method of writing?
It's not. I mean, we have arranged and written and finished stuff like this before, but I think that we've never done it. It was definitely a new set of tools for a process that we're pretty familiar with.
I think the record sounds a little happier.
For sure.
I think Ben has cheered up a bit.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's sober now. He's jogging. He's running.
Yes.
He's in a really solid, committed relationship.
Yes, true.
So that's pretty much got to, well, color your look at the world, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and the thing is that I mean, each of us has had, the last 3 years have been full of those kinds of changes for each of us. And the thing about that kind of change is that that energy is really infectious. And one of the things that made this record so easy to work on for such a long period of time is that it's such an invitation of a record. Like, it's not all celebratory, but
no, there's some dark moments there.
Yeah, definitely. But it's got I think it's got the kind of human balance that I think a lot of people strive for. It's not in the dumps, and it's not in a manic, over-the-top sort of state either. And there's still plenty of doubt and plenty of questions in the writing. But all that stuff manifests itself in, I think, a really genuine, really human sort of way.
I may be mistaken in this, but I'm hearing I like the rhythm section.
Thanks.
it's improved over the last couple of records. Not improved, that sounds bad, but you guys have come together a lot more.
Maybe it's more present.
Maybe. You know, I listen to a song like I Will Possess Your Heart, and the only version I'll listen to of that song is the long one, because that 4-minute lead up to the vocals, I mean, it's terrific. And it's the rhythm section that makes that.
Well, maybe that was a kind of a shift in rhythm section history, I think, just in terms of evolution over the course of that, you know, 8-minute song, but also in terms of like rhythm section driving more of a traditional sense. I mean, when I look back on what rhythm sections did in the 50s and 60s, they drove songs more and more. And I think when music, you know, initially when music started being programmed, that was lost. And then now with more modern urban music, rhythm sections again beginning to drive music when you just have a vocal hook and a drum hook and that's it. But I mean, too, I think that we left a lot of space in this record. Like there are songs I could play with one stick because it was the right supportive role, but that just meant that there was more emphasis and focus on what I was doing. So all of us leaving holes rhythmically in terms of presentation too allowed for, I think, a lot of Nick and I to come to the surface. And that's something too that Alan Mulder has done really well, you know, in terms of mixing this record. Is he's a friend of bass players and drummers all over the world.
He is.
For what he does.
He sure is.
For sure.
I have some questions here from some people who emailed me knowing that you guys were coming in. Now, you've worked with a couple of Canadians as a producer, Gord Downey.
Yes, true.
Have you learned anything from your Canadian production experiences?
No. No, of course. I mean, you know, when I came out to do Gord's record, I took that as an opportunity to drive across Canada. So I crossed up at Lake Osoyoos in the middle of BC and drove all the way across the country. Because I'd never done that.
That's what Gord told me. And he just popped in a car and drove.
I did. It took 5.5 days. And the last 20 hours was 20 of the most excruciating hours of my life.
You went over the North Shore of Lake Superior, didn't you?
I did 17 up by
oh God,
all the way up to like Long Lac and
you got a speeding ticket too,
Timmins,
right?
and I got a speeding ticket in the middle of Alberta.
You went up all the way to Timmins?
Yeah.
That's a left turn that you shouldn't have taken.
I know, but it was fun, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. It was it was great. I mean, that whole experience was great. Yeah.
Okay. Where do things sit with the Postal Service these days?
They're...
You know about as much as we do.
Not.
I mean,
they're
not really. Next question.
Yeah.
Somebody from Edmonton says, can you play Someday You Will Be Loved? Please, that would be awesome.
That seems unlikely.
You know, it's hard as we get this far down the road into the catalog and we have our favorites and we have fan favorites and we still get, like last night at Toronto, people shouting out stuff that we haven't played in 4 or 5 years. It seems like we'd like to be able to do that. Maybe someday we will play Someday It Will Be Loved.
And finally, what are some of the essential elements that a band needs to create an original sound? That sounds like it's from somebody who wants to do this for a living.
I can answer that with one word.
Yeah.
Time. You just need time. Like eventually you will have your own sound if you just keep doing what you do. Like you're gonna sound like your influences, of course, but you have to dig and spend time. And the word I've been using a lot lately is collide. You have to collide with other people's ideas and somehow arrive at something original and new. But more than anything, I think it just takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The album is called Codes and Keys. It's going to be out on the 31st. And I guess you'll be back in Southern Ontario in June, I think, or July?
I think it's
July.
later than that. It's like July, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the big show.
That's the big show.
All right.
Yeah.
And I would imagine you're going to be on the road for pretty much the rest of the year.
The rest of our lives.
That too.
Well, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of this little tour, and best of luck on the big one.
Awesome.
Thanks guys.
Alan.
ExploreMusic wears English Laundry apparel.